In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the information that's on pages Excel 88 and 89, which is entitled Changing the Chart Layout. Changing chart layout involves adding, removing, and modifying individual chart elements, such as the chart title, the plot area, grid lines and data series. And while the Chart Tools Design tab includes pre-configured chart layouts you can apply, the Chart Tools Layout tab makes it easy to create and modify individual chart objects. Using buttons on this tab, you can also add shapes and additional text to a chart, add, modify labels, change the display of axes, and modify the fill behind the plot area. You can also eliminate or change the look of grid lines. And which grid lines are these little lines that's right here, and those are the horizontal and vertical lines in the chart that enable the eye to follow the value on an axis. You can create titles in horizontal and vertical axis, add graphics, or add a background color. You can even format the text you use in your chart. So let's take a look at step 1 now on page Excel 88. And this is with the chart, and it says with the chart still selected, you're going to click on the Chart Tools Layout tab. So it's the middle tab right up here in the Chart Tools on there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to click on Grid Lines in the Axis group. So here we have this here, and we're going to click on Grid Lines. Then we're going to point to our primary horizontal grid lines, and then we're going to click on None. Notice that this now makes our chart on there, that the grid lines that extend from the value axis tick marks across the chart's plot area have been removed. And of course, notice as well, it's a little bit hard to kind of follow that information on there as well. So sometimes grid lines are important in larger charts like this. However, they may not be important if it's a smaller chart. Step 2 tells us that we're going to click the Grid Lines button again, and this time we're going to point to the primary horizontal grid lines, and now we're going to click on Major and Minor Grid Lines. Now notice that this time we have more grid lines than what we did earlier, because all we were showing earlier was the major grid lines, and that was the one for the 100,000. But now, in addition to those major grid lines that we had, where we had like our 100,000 on there, and 80,000 and 60,000, 40,000, those are our major grid lines, we also have included these minor grid lines. And the minor grid lines show the values between the tick marks on there. Now, you can also change the color of the columns as well, so that you can better compare it against the tick marks on there. But notice how these major and minor lines help to really identify where some of these values are located at. Now on step 3, it tells us that we're going to click on the Axis Title button in the Labels group. So here we have our Labels group, and we're going to click on the Axis Titles. Then we're going to point to the primary horizontal axis title, and then we're going to click on Title Below Axis. Once we do that, we're going to triple click the axis title, which should select all of it, and then we're going to type in tour countries. And this just gives us a label here, or descriptive text, on the category axis to help the readers to understand the chart on, why are we choosing these different countries over other countries? Oh, well, these are part of our tour countries. Next, we're going to click, this is step 4, we're going to click on the Axis Titles button in the Label group again, and this time we're going to point to primary vertical axis. Then, on this one, we're going to click on Rotated Title. And you'll now notice that a placeholder for the vertical axis title is added to the left of the vertical axis, and it's actually been rotated on there, so it's not horizontally written. Now it's vertically written. To change this, which is step 5, we're going to triple click this to select all of it. And then we're going to type in revenue, open parentheses, in, $, close parentheses. And now we'll see that that text appears to the left of the vertical axis, which you see right here. Next, on step 6, we're going to right-click the horizontal axis labels, which is Australian, Britain, and so forth. We're going to right-click on those. And this is how we can change the font. So we're going to change the font list here on the mini toolbar. Of course, we can change this as well and open up the font dialog box, but we're going to click on the font list here. And we're going to change this to Times New Roman. So we're going to have to scroll down. Remember, this is alphabetically organized. And notice that the font has been changed. Then we're going to change the font size from a 10 to an 8. Now you'll notice that that little diagonal effect has been taken away, and that the font is now Times New Roman, and the font size decreased, making more of the plot area visible. Next, we're on step 7, we're going to right-click the vertical axis labels that's on there, and that would be these right here. So we're going to right-click these, and in our mini toolbar, we're also going to change this to Times New Roman size 8. So we choose our font, which is going to be Times New Roman. Then we choose the font of 8, the font size of 8. On step 8, it tells us that we're going to right-click the chart title on here, which if it didn't replace it earlier, you can change it now to where it says Quarterly Tour Revenue. So that should say Quarterly Tour Revenue there. We're going to right-click on this chart title. Okay, once we right-click the chart title here, we're then going to click on Format Chart Title, and that is on the shortcut menu that's on there. So that is down here at the bottom. Then we're going to click on Border Color, and then next we're going to click on Solid Line. And of course what this is going to do is we're going to be adding a solid border is the first step to creating a shadow box which will actually surround the title that's on there. And you can only add a shadow to a text box that actually has a border. So the next, once we have that, we're going to click on Shadow in the left task pane. This is step 9. Then we're going to click on the Presets List arrow that's over here. It's the top part here. And then we're going to click on the Offset Diagonal bottom right, which is in the first row, first from the left. And that's in the outer group right here. So once we select that, we're going to click on Close. And you'll notice that there's an ever so slight bit of a shadow behind our diagonal box. If you deselect it, you can see it just a little bit more there. So now you can go ahead and save your work. And of course, taking a look on page 89, it talks a little bit about adding data labels to a chart. It says there are times when your audience might benefit by seeing data labels on a chart. These labels can indicate the series name, category name, or the value of one or more data points. Once your chart is selected, you can add this information to your chart by clicking the Data Label button on the Labels group in the Chart Layout tab. And that is right up here. So we could add in data labels on there. So if I do centered, you can see that there's our data labels there, which in this case would not look good. So we're not going to do that in this area. So that concludes the information about changing the chart layout. You're ready to move on to the next video in which we're going to be formatting the chart.